Okay, so um, at first I did this as an episode in my car talking about the Little Mermaid thing because I felt that it was only worthy of that. Because how generally stupid it is. Uh, because like this is shit that we've seen before in many different ways. It's not something that's just new to Disney. But also it's gotten to a point where the excessive ridiculousness of it, and considering how much people don't make money off of it, it makes me call into question the intelligence of a lot of people as to why they continue to back it as if it's something that's not being done for a quick little monetary gain. It's not really anything that's actually progressive or any type of tangible forward thinking type of mindset. It's generally just done for money. And also, it's incredibly insulting towards anyone of any type of race, as well as insulting towards whoever the artist is for whatever work that they've been working on. Because you're changing something that they worked on that's supposed to be a certain way in order to fit you believing that you cannot identify with anyone because they don't happen to be the same fucking color as you, which is racist. Like that is racist. That is unbelievably racist. No matter what anyone could possibly tell you, to sit there and go, you cannot identify with this character because they are not the same color as you, is racist. It's just flat out racist. It's the same thing as saying you cannot listen to this kind of music because you don't understand this language or you're not from this country. That is racist. That is beyond racist. It's just straight up racist. This is coming from a motherfucker who listens to all types of fucking music in different languages, hither and thither. Like you name it, I probably have listened to it. Um, Fucking got no names of fucking bands in Japan and shit like that. So it it's incredibly disingenuous the fact that you have so many people who try to sit there and preach about doing positive things for black people or wanting black people to rise up and do more and things like that. But yet they never talk about shit that is of an individual property or something that's like a brand new concept that's been thought up or is being done by a black person. They generally only clamor towards changing shit that already existed into black people. And that has always been a retarded mindset as well as incredibly stupid. But again, it comes from nothing but a racist aptitude, right? Because you feel that this thing that initially was a white person cannot be cannot be understood, taken seriously, or even appreciated unless I change the color, race, ethnicity, sex of said character, or sexual orientation of said character in order for them to fit a wider demographic of an audience. And like I said, that is a closed-minded concept of racism. So what I'm about to play are clips that was done on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, where he talked about the Little Mermaid thing, and essentially, uh, I just wanted to respond to it. So the first clip that I'm about to play was something that he did on his show. That actually was like a part of a segment on his show, and then the next one I'm gonna play is going to be between the scenes thing that he did, where he basically it's kind of something he does where he kind of goes in depth more when speaking towards the general audience about stuff. Typically, they put a lot of those on YouTube and whatnot. So I'm gonna look at this first clip, which is really short. Then we're gonna go into a little between the scenes things because he kind of gets into it on there. But yeah, then you'll understand my views as I kind of break down what it is that he's talking about. So let's listen in, shall we? I watch you listen.
Once again, a bunch of internet racists are upset that a fictional character is being played by a black person.
All right, now you probably, if you're keeping up with this news, then you've probably heard that phrase of wordage for this concept, or like basically this argument and everything being used a lot, and that is by default a straw man. That is essentially trying to shape the narrative in order to make you think lesser of of whatever is a plausible outcome for it. It is something to where it's like that's not an argument. You know, it was like you're upset because of a fictional character's race is being changed. Yeah, and it's like that's not anything to look at and go, well, you shouldn't take it so seriously because it just happens to be fictional. But this is shit that they've done with actual living people as well. Wasn't there a show recently where they took Anna Boleyn, an actual famous and well-known Queen of England, that was got her fucking head cut off by Henry VIII. They made her a black woman, and it was the weirdest fucking thing because this was supposed to be a historically accurate show or something based into the realm of accuracy or being historically sound, and they needed to scratch that diversity itch, so they added a character that was white, has always been white, has existed throughout history as white, and then they made her black in hopes that no one would notice. I never understood that, and but that's something that happened. And so to sit there and go that you shouldn't feel as upset or as threatened or should feel bad for any character within anything being transformed or turned or being did whatever because they're a fictional character, then you have every right to look at that person and call them an asshole because they are generally trying to diminish your connection with something. Like, you know this character, and anything that is done to the character by an outside source from anything like from an outside perspective aside from the actual creator is always should and it's like that just drastically changes that character should always be met with the approach of, yeah, that's not the character, because there is nothing that you're doing that is within the sake of the character, with the namesake of the character, and then even changing the race, ethnicity, or color or sexuality of said character also undermines what that character is, because that's not who that character is. That character was presented as this. Give me that. You're telling me you're bringing that character back? Cool. But they have a different skin tone. Then that's not that character. And if you truly wanted to bring a character with that skin tone out, why not make a new one? Well, that there's other shit in terms of creatively bankrupt motherfuckers and things like that, but I'll get to it later.
And honestly, I don't know what the big deal is. You guys
now, like you said, he doesn't really know what the big deal is. Now, you got to understand, Trevor Noah shills out for a lot of shit. If you didn't know, like when it comes towards the understanding or getting in depth of like exactly people being passionate about this, I understand the notion of that there are some people out there who just generally don't like the fact that you're taking a main staple white character and turning them black for racist sakes, just being fundamentally racist. But you have to understand that a lot of people are coming from the nature of just the fact that you're taking a white character and changing them black for no reason other than your own racist sakes, which is that we gonna get some money out these niggas, because these niggas gonna love to see another one of their own little jigaboos on screen singing their heart out with some flippers. Doesn't really fucking matter who, just as long as we get that. Because it's not like you couldn't find a white girl with red hair to sing for Ariel. It's not like that's an impossibility. Not like you could have got a blonde or brunette white girl that can sing, and then you dye their fucking hair or give them a wig, and then they be able to do what they do. There was a multitude of things that could have been done, and then you just do a live action Little Mermaid, but you purposefully change that character's color black, and that is an insult towards the intelligence of the people that you are showcasing your shit from, too, as well as towards anyone who happens to like and identify with the character and understand and relate to said character. You changing their skin color might, I can see how you would sit there and go, it's not really that big of a deal. But in the long run, this shit keeps happening. And it is becoming a big deal because now it's getting to the point where no matter what it is that you like, someone's going to change it just because they don't give a fuck. And it's clear that the people who are changing it are people who don't care about the original source material, which is what connects to the people who would generally want to see something that's been redone, remade, or rebooted. I enjoyed the source material. Okay, let's take that and then make alterations. Well, now you done fucked it up. So now that you done fucked it up, the people who would generally been the only ones interested in taking their kids or even willing to spend their hard-earned money to go see it won't go see it now because it's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a white girl. That's what it's supposed to be. It ain't. And, and it's like, but the fact that it ain't is because you want to make money off of other people who would sit there and go, "This is brave. This is amazing. It's a staple of humanity. Yes, Queen slay." And that's unbelievably fucking racist. That's just straight up racist. This isn't being done because it's been a worldwide phenomenon of people constantly going, "Man, Ariel should have been black." For all the years Little Mermaid has existed, people just constantly go, "Ariel should have been black. Ariel should have definitely been black." And then when they finally do a live action, they made her black, and people go, "Finally, we get the Ariel we deserve." No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is that Ariel has always been Ariel. You've been remaking characters. I mean, you've been remaking movies of your own shit because you're creatively bankrupt. And you've been having all these Disney princesses be white so far. And then for some reason, because it's a actual thing of gentrification, they've been gentrification. They've been changing redheads into black people within Hollywood and whatnot when it comes to like different forms of media and shit like that. Like look into it; it's an actual thing. And so Ariel came on the chopping block because she has red hair, so she needs to get turned to a black person. Yet they didn't do this shit for Belle. They didn't do this shit for Cinderella. For Snow White, they're gonna do it only because of the fact that it's like what would be a good way to put that? The shock factor alone is what Disney is going to feed off of. It ain't gonna matter. They're not gonna care. When you go to Disney World, um, they're gonna still have a white girl play Snow White during the parades and shit like that. But the movie, ain't that a bitch? So let's continue.
Realize that Nemo was black too, right? Yeah, that whole movie was about a fish who can't find his dad. Yeah.
Now, that joke doesn't hit if you actually know Finding Nemo. If you barely remember Finding Nemo, then you might chuckle at that. But if you know Finding Nemo, then you know Nemo was trapped. That was the dad looking for Nemo. That's why you were finding Nemo. It's not called Finding. What is it, Marty? Isn't that his name? But jokes. That's another. Now I'm gonna get into his actual show. A thing I actually don't care for in terms of the Daily Show is not. I don't believe Trevor Noah is not funny. I'm one of the last people who will possibly ever say something like that. I do not believe that he's not funny. I've seen his stand up before, and I've cracked up watching his stand up. He is very funny. I do believe that a lot of the writers that he have put him into a state of this weird comedy limbo. Like a lot of interesting things that he does is like his interviews that he has with people. Those are actually pretty decent and good when you generally can tell he read the books. He's generally engaging and talking with them people. He actually has a lot of good shit to say, regardless of how certain other people feel about that. And it's like, the man knows his shit on certain things, and as far as comedy goes, like he knows how to tell a good joke. But when you're dealing with a show like this, where it's like damn near every day you're coming out with something, yeah, you can't be on the ball like that over and over and over again. How most comedians that go into TV generally do sketch comedies and shit like that. So him doing something that's a daily fucking thing, literally why it's called the Daily Show, is yeah. But it's like because of that, you can tell a lot of the times when the writing is just really hack me, and it's like they need to put in a joke because that's just the formula that they do. But I would opt for them not to. They don't have to, but they do all the time, and a lot of them, a fucking lot of them, are just these ridiculous, bland, whatever jokes that aren't really that funny, and they kind of just have the added push of basically having a studio audience that just kind of laughs at every fucking thing that he does. Even a lot of times you can tell with some of the jokes that he make that aren't really that funny. You just have an abundance of like small people just really hackling like crazy, and it's like, yeah, it ain't that funny. It was worth a chuckle if anything, but not something to be ha ha ha, ha. Like it's not. But it's like you can tell you guys are doing shit like that on purpose, and that's kind of something that happens a lot when it comes to television comedy, where you get people to laugh for you in order to make it seem like you're funnier. So whatever. But that's just a little sidebar in terms of like talking about his jokes and shit like that for a show.
Calm down, calm down. I can say that because my dad left and he's white, so who's racist now?
So like that was actually funny. And if you know anything about Trevor Noah, then you would get like yeah, that is funny. But the Nemo joke beforehand wasn't funny. So
it's so ridiculous. First of all, of course, the Little Mermaid is black. All right, everyone who's
no, the Little Mermaid is white. The Little Mermaid has always been white. The fuck?
Name starts with Lil is black.
Her name isn't Lil. Her name is the Little. It is the Little. It's not Lil. So you don't say Little Mermaid. We say Little Mermaid. We've always said Little Mermaid. I've never referred to her as Little Mermaid. That just seems like an Ebonics nightmare waiting to happen. It's just like this so stupid. But again, he's setting up for another joke that's whatever. And like again, the joke ain't funny. But it's just that's just such a disingenuous, retarded thing. It's like, no, the bitch name is Little. Or whatever.
Lil Wayne, Lil Nas X, Lil Kim. Honestly, if you heard that there was a woman named Little Mermaid, you just assume that she's on a track with Cardi B, you know? Look now, wet ass flippers. So look.
Wouldn't it still make sense for her to still say wet ass pussy? Like it'd still be wet. But and it's like, do mermaids have vaginas? Hey, you're digging too deep. And Ariel only wished for legs. Remember that. Ariel traded her voice just for legs. Didn't say nothing about the goddamn anatomy of a vagina. So inclined to believe that they still have those. Did I just shatter your fucking minds? I don't know, man. I don't know.
So no, stop being ridiculous. It's imaginary. You know, I hope the scandal doesn't overshadow the rest of the movie.
Well, he's saying it's imaginary. And again, that's being incredibly disingenuous towards the argument, right? And then what's actually happening. And then just the circumstances of which is happening, and then the abundance of this shit constantly happening. There's just too many fucking factors that come into play that let you know this shit ain't done because it was asked for, it was something that people wanted, or something that was done in a general kind, like the kindness of their heart. I just wanted to make a black version of the Little Mermaid story. Then why didn't you approach this story with the same tenacity that they did the movie The Wiz, right? Which is a fantastic movie. And it's just the Wizard of Oz story, but told with an all-black cast, with different music, different soundtrack, different aesthetic. The way how the fucking thing looks is different. And the movie is amazing. It's fucking amazing. It's great. Star-studded cast, memorable and wonderful songs. Fantastic. It's still the Wizard of Oz, but it's called The Wiz. And the thing is that you can't look at that movie and then go, well, why are they making a black version of it? And like you look at it and go, well, it's just burr, burr, burr. And it's like, no, it isn't, because it's its own it's its own original thing, because it was a retelling of the Wizard of Oz story that is already a book, much like how the Wizard of Oz, the movie that you originally got, the black and white one and turned into color and all that, was also an original movie based off of a book. So it's not like The Wiz is a black version of the movie. The Wiz is a black version based off of the book. So like everything is different. Hell, even how they meet the lion. He was a goddamn statue. His statue bust out and he started singing the song. But so it's weird that it's like, yeah, it's disingenuous to sit there and criticize it because it's imaginary, it's fake, or it's made up or something like that. It still has integrity. There's still a matter of integrity when it comes to this shit. Just because I make up something, and then like again, me being someone who's an artist, it's even harder when you think about the fact that it's like there's so many people who just clamor for you to just kind of suck it up and let it happen. When it's like, yeah, but I'm black, and I want to make something that has characters of a certain way, certain theme, certain aesthetic to them, and whatnot. And then at any point in time, I make the shit that I want to make and I present it, and then might get some corrective criticism or different little tidbits and things like that here and there that I might be willing to change. But then someone tells me that a whole character needs to be a different race That way, the people of that race can feel inclusive in my shit is horrible. That's horrifying. Like, why would that be a thing? Because my argument to them will be, let them make something. Hell, I'd help you with them making something, but we don't need to change my shit. My shit is the way that it is. And I know for a fact that too many things have come to pass that existed that are basically based, rooted, and seated in being of a particular race, about a particular race, or whatever, and they're fine. They're generally fine. I look at fucking anime. Anime is deeply seated in Japanese culture. I've seen so many goddamn kids go to high school where everyone's a fucking Japanese kid, and not once did I look at it and go, man, I wish a nigga was in there. Not once, because that's not what it was. It was about a bunch of Japanese kids going to a Japanese school speaking Japanese. So why would it be that I would say that they need to uproot the entire identity of a character, particularly the main character at that, in order for me to feel inclusive? So are we going to make it to where the school is now a mixture of different races, different cultures? No, just that the main character is now black. But that won't do anything. That won't change anything, right? But he would be black. And so then that means he would be inclusive, and that means that it would be so much diverse. So then that makes it better by default because of diversity, when none of that is true. So even if it is fictional, it still has a ground of integrity to it. It still has a sense of it meaning something to somebody and someone else. And if you feel with any ounce of your fucking soul that that is something that can only be done if you happen to share the same pigment as the person that you're seeing in front of you, you are a racist. You're racist. You're an idiot and you're a fucking racist. Almost done.
Little Mermaid is a beautiful story about a young woman changing her core identity to please a man. Let's not forget about that.
Okay. So that was it. That was the end of the little clip from what he did on the show. And yeah, that's like, I mean, like, and again, like the ending joke was actually, that was funny, because it's like, essentially it's like, yeah, he was being disingenuous to the whole thing, but then at the same time at the end he talked about the story. Now I have to state that I am not a fan of Little Mermaid. I do not like it. I do not like it, Sam. I am. I do not like it with green eggs and ham. But I did grow up watching the animated series, which is crazy. If you ever seen the animated series, you know exactly how crazy that it is, considering that the animated series is a fucking prequel. But damn, like they have some crazy Disney shows back then. It was Winnie the Pooh, Aladdin, and The Little Mermaid. Those were all ridiculous. Now you could count Timon and Pumbaa, but yeah, Timon and Pumbaa always felt like a sad Ren and Stimpy knockoff that just it was something to watch, but it was never worthwhile. Never. Not like Ren and Stimpy. God, Ren and Stimpy was great. Ren and Stimpy is still great. Don't let your kids watch it unless you want to. Unless you're that kind of a parent, I don't care. But yeah, you know, like him making the little joke at the end, essentially like talking about Ariel core concept. It's like, yeah, it's a bad fucking story. So again, even knowing something like that, why wouldn't you push more for them to make a different Little Mermaid story where the story is better, or make a Disney princess where her story is better? Remember, not too long ago, Amazon made that Cinderella movie. Yeah, exactly. I don't remember it either, but I kind of do. But remember, I keep saying remember, but they made this fucking Cinderella movie, and no one liked it, right? And then it got the same kind of backlash in the beginning about people clamoring about the fact that it's like, well, Cinderella's supposed to be white and blah blah blah. But that was a small group of people, and I'll tell you why. Because the movie wasn't a remake of Disney Cinderella; it was just a retelling of Cinderella. Now, you also have Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, which starred Brandy. and it was like produced by Whitney Houston, and she played the fairy godmother and everything. Now, think back to when that movie came out. If you were aware when that movie came out, or you seen it, it's possible, and you seen it. There's nothing bad about Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Now the thing is that much like The Wiz, or like what I was bringing up about The Wiz, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella had different music, had different concepts. Some of the characters acted widely different. Hell, Cinderella and the Prince met prior to the actual dance. So then they had like the little singing number and everything like that. So they started to like each other. And then upon him seeing her at the ball, he just fell in love with her even more. But she was like this girl that he just didn't know. I think that's what happened in the movie. I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago. But even how the stepmother and Cinderella's attitude towards each other within Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella was vastly different from how Disney handled the stepmother within Cinderella, right? Now, when Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella came out, no one had a problem with it. Now, you got to remember this also during the time of like early 2000s and the fucking 90s, where basically we were at peak acceptance, where you could just watch a show and you don't got to deal with being hit over the head with anything stupid or woke or bad writing. Shit just clicked. There was a show about nothing but white folks, and everyone loved it. We call it Friends. There was also a show with none but black folks, and everyone loved it. It was called Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Slap. But doesn't change the fact that people watch those shows, laughed at those shows, and they love those shows. But now we've evolved into stupidity. Now, where am I going with this Roger Hammerstein Cinderella and the other one from Amazon? Now, think about this. Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella is a beloved story of Cinderella that basically is a play. And they took that play and they turned it into a little live action thing, adding in motherfucking movie stars and actors and shit like that. Now, you take the Amazon Cinderella, which essentially had new music, new core concepts, different characters and whatnot. What did Amazon do wrong? Well, they stopped Cinderella from being Cinderella. And the story, she actually basically was this headstrong girl that wanted to make her own way. And then even upon her finding the prince, she got the prince to give up his throne so he could help her make clothes. And her fairy godmother was this gay dude. Because gays, right? So all of that bullshit was added to the movie, and none of it was done because it seemed sensible towards the story of Cinderella. It was done because diversity, woke, and girl power just overshadowed anything else for being tangible. And so because of that, that movie bombed. It did terrible. It did not make a lot of money. I don't even know if Amazon Prime still hosts the fucking thing. But that movie bombed, and Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella is still a play that is performed on Broadway today. So, obviously, there is some confusion in terms of being able to accept, identify, and acknowledge the bullshit. Now then, Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella is just a retelling of the Cinderella story. They're not destroying the core concept of Cinderella. Hell, they added on to it in terms of her relationship with the prince actually being far more tangible than what fucking Disney did or what the original story did, because it's a goddamn fairy tale. But you take what Amazon did, and they made this headstrong girl power girl, and then they stuck her into a movie that's supposed to be Cinderella, a character who is not that at all. And then you decided to try and sell that to the masses, and no one accepted it, and no one liked it, and that's what you got. We are dealing with basically a mirrored version of that same concept. This is not a retelling of The Little Mermaid. This is generally a different color swap of this character in a live action setting. And guess what, motherfucker? No one wants the color swap. That's the problem. That's what makes this racist, because there's nothing wrong with the character being white in the first place. So why are you changing it if it's not for some alternative motive? And no matter what, that motive will always come up negative. A bad, bad fucking thing. So goddamn negative that it made the character black. Stupid. Okay, so now I'm going to play the between the scenes thing that Trevor Noah did, which basically is fundamentally longer, but he does go more in depth into his position as well as his argument towards the race swap for Ariel. Um, and when I saw this is why I wanted to do this episode. Sorry that it took me so long to get to it, but I don't care. I got a point to make. Damn. But and you're probably gonna hear me repeat a bunch of shit that I've already said already, and I don't care. Again, got a point to make. So yeah, let's just listen in. Let's do it.
You know, every time one of these like internet outrage things happens about which character is being played by whom and people get angry, I would get it if people had good faith arguments, but you can tell that people are just using these moments to disguise a discriminatory idea or like a racism that they hold or something.
See, now that is so fucked up that he said that. It's unbelievably fucked up that he said that. And I'm gonna tell you why. That's incredibly fucked up because of the fact that he basically pointed out what would be the opposition to him, right? So he was like, if this came in good faith, you wouldn't have a reason to make an argument about that. But this is done under a racist epithet. Like this is only being done under some racist concept that's coming from a bad place and bad blood. Like I've recently just been fucking saying, this is being done by a fucking company that has literally done this before in order to make money off of diversity. It is not doing this to be progressive. It is doing this for money. That's all that it's doing it for. And the fact that you can't even acknowledge that bullshit, because that's what this is. That's unbelievable bullshit on their part. The fact that you won't even acknowledge that bullshit, but then counter that it's just people being extremely racist towards this concept. That's the only reason for this to be an internet sensation or blowing up or what people got a problem with. I tell you what now, Chip, what? That mermaid better be, oh boy. And it's like, no. You think of the people who fucking looking at this or who fucking have an issue with that. It's a majority of people who actually grew up knowing who Ariel was and then live with the mindset of, motherfucker, you don't need to change a character's skin color in order for me to understand or relate to him. So why the fuck are you doing it? Like, there's no reason to do it outside of the fact that you believe that this shit is going to get you money. And let's not forget, we're dealing with the same goddamn company that instituted multiple times that they're going to have gay characters in other movies that they've done, only to then show that movie in another fucking country and then remove all the gay shit, which lets you know they putting profit over progress. So obviously, you're not dealing with people who are doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it for evil, malicious reasons, which is just to get money off of your concept of diversity. So they're taking everyone who basically is this bleeding heart dumbass who thinks that a black Ariel or a gay kiss in Star Wars or a gay couple in a Marvel's movie or a gay couple in a Lightyear's movie for some reason is progressive and worth spending their money on a movie ticket for. So then that same person will pick at a sign that says, why are you hating the gays? And then not paying attention when that movie goes overseas, that all that shit that they thought was fantastic got removed, got swept away, got taken away, got away with because it didn't matter. When they showcased the Lightyear movie overseas, there's a bunch of countries that were like they wouldn't play it because of the fact of the gay shit. And then they removed the gay shit, and then people were going, well, you removed the gay shit, and then you come to find out that the gay shit didn't even matter. So why did you have the gay shit in the movie in the first place if it didn't even matter, and then you were only going to cut it when it went overseas in the first place? Well, people still needed to see the movie. No. You were saying it was progressive and you was being proud and loud and all that bullshit. So obviously, instead of sticking to your guns, which would have let everyone know that, hey, Disney is here for the gay shit, let's keep this great gravy train going. Nope. You sat there and went, whoa, wait a minute. This is making our pockets a little thinner? Sorry. That gay stuff gonna have to go away, my boy. Sorry. I got to do what I got to do. Got to see it through, my boy. But it's like, no, we didn't do that. They didn't do that. They didn't have that. And it was like, and people have been calling them out on their bullshit ever since because they've seen this and they've acknowledged it as bullshit. So the fact that you're being disingenuous and going, this is coming from a place of a racial hate, but it's like you're not acknowledging that Disney is coming from a monetary gain and an unnecessary acceptance towards a racial aspect is fucking bullshit. It's incredibly bullshit. Yeah, I'd understand if this was like a wholesome argument. Oh, fuck no. That's stupid. This shit is racist. It's racist on them, not from anyone else who's disagreeing with that. And it's not to say that there's someone who's like, oh, I don't appreciate this actor or actress playing this character or playing this role or whatnot. And it's like, no, you know who the character is. You know what it's supposed to be. They've shown this is unlike any fucking book thing that you've had because we have seen this character move, speak, talk, and all that for decades. And now all of a sudden, when a new movie decides to come out, we're going to change the color. And you're going to tell me that this ain't some bullshit? It's bullshit. It's like, call it for what it is and then be happy with that. Thus making them finally getting off their asses and giving us characters that we could then either also relate to as well as be black. Because for the life of me, they've introduced two dark-skinned characters within the Disney movie concept. Like with all their movies, there's only been two dark-skinned main staple princess-like characters, and neither of them were princesses. Pocahontas wasn't a princess, Moana wasn't a princess, and the Princess and the Frog wasn't a fucking princess. And that movie is called The Princess and the Frog. Have you seen that movie? She's not a princess. Throughout the whole fucking movie, she's not a princess until she marries the nigga. Then she kisses him, and then he decides to give up his throne. So she's never really a princess, and it's a terrible fucking movie. That's incredibly racist. Motherfuckers have buck teeth talking about the bayou. They wanted to do Creole shit. And if you've ever seen the trailer for The Princess and the Frog, it's even far more upsetting because that movie seemed like it could have been something. But then they completely scratched it because white people who made the black people thing was like, Louisiana. That's what the niggas like. That's where they from. The Mardi Gras and shit. Louisiana, Creole stuff, bayous, whatnot. You making a deal with the Shadow Man? Don't even tangibly make sense as to how he made a deal. Nigga just was singing a song about what he wanted. Didn't offer a deal, just shook his hand. Stupid movie. Stupid movie. Stupid man. Stupid movie. Oh, fuck.
You know, it's like, it's your thing. You know, people are going to act like, oh, no, the Little Mermaid, I'm here because I'm a Little Mermaid purist.
See, but again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll explain why there's nothing wrong with that, because it seems like what I'm saying is disingenuous. But no, there's nothing wrong with someone saying that they're a Little Mermaid purist because the Little Mermaid was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. If you grew up with that movie, you love that movie, you love everything about that movie, then fine. Hell, I have to give it up for Little Mermaid because the people who did the music for that movie are the same people who worked on the music for Aladdin, which is my favorite Disney movie of all time. Only second to Lion King, which is technically my most beloved Disney movie of all time. There's a difference. There is definitely a difference. But I say that because I can recite word for word everything in the original Lion King movie because I have one of the original plastic bricks, the white bricks of Disney movies that came out during that time, and I had the original. And when you was a poor black child growing up in Chicago, motherfucker, a VCR was your best friend. A VCR rentals from Blockbuster, you talk about a Saturday night worth remembering. Shit. And I used to watch those things religiously as a child, over and over and over again. Hated anything that essentially was princess oriented because I was a goddamn boy. But I had Lion King, Jungle Book, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, also D2 The Mighty Ducks. But I always hated trying to watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because it was like, there's nothing in this for me. There's nothing in this for me at all. Yet, I know every goddamn song in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I downloaded the fucking movie, and I have it on my computer to this day because that is still a movie that is a part of my childhood, and I do enjoy it. But when I was younger, it just wasn't for me. That's different from E.T. I hated E.T. I can't stand E.T. To this day, I can't stand E.T. Ugh, gross. It wasn't a cartoon. Didn't care. Didn't give a fuck about Steven Spielberg. It wasn't a cartoon. I didn't fucking care. It's for kids. Gross. The thing was horrifying. Yes, I own one of the plastic bricks of E.T. as well. Hate that fucking movie. Hate it. God damn it. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. But I used to religiously watch those damn movies. I didn't own Aladdin. My cousin had Aladdin, and I had the sad fate of constantly going over his house and wanting to see Aladdin, and him wanting to go outside. And it's like, all right, you go outside. Let me just watch your tape while you're outside. And he was a selfish prick. So basically, I had to deal with, you can't watch it unless I'm watching. And it was like, all right, go fuck yourself. But family, right? Jesus Christ. But it's like, because of that, and it's like, yeah, I can't knock Little Mermaid for anything. It's like, basically, it was like a couple of years ago, I rewatched it after like years of only seeing it once prior. Rewatched it and I was like, yep, it's just as I remember it. Stupid. I was like, I still don't like it. Still, there's no songs in it that I even care for. Friggin' Under the Sea, only reason that kind of reigns in my head is because of fucking Kingdom Hearts 2. But other than that, nothing. It was like really nothing. But it's like, yeah, that doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who fucking grew up with that movie and did what I did with Lion King over and over and over again. So then, yeah, much like the people who disliked when the live action fucking Lion King movie came out because it was atrocious, especially as a recreation of a fucking classic. Why would you not basically understand that there are people out there who would like leave well enough alone? If you're going to make this a live action, then do just that. Only make it a live action. Considering the fact that multiple live action versions of movies have been so far horrible because they keep constantly changing or deviating away from the narrative in some way, shape, or form, it would make sense that they would finally not do that. And look at a movie that basically did that, and it was actively good. It went intelligent in its way of handling itself, and then because of that, it was a hell of a lot smarter as well as far more enjoyable of a movie. Maleficent was a dope way to do a live action version of Sleeping Beauty. Why? Because it changed the game for the story. It basically was similar to like Lion King 1.5, where it was like, yeah, there was other shit going on outside of the realm of what you were privy to from the original Sleeping Beauty story, but what it didn't do was change completely your entire concept of Maleficent, as you got to see the multiple times that made her become vindictive, evil, angry, and still wanting to punish the kingdom for what they did to her. But then you found out more of why things that happened to her and why she was so vindictive towards everything. And it just made it great. It was a fantastic movie. Maleficent ain't bad. Like, it's not a bad movie. And I don't know anyone who saw that movie and then was like, well, you can't do that. Aurora, who was supposed to, like, Sleeping Beauty is kind of boring. But this made it interesting. And this made the villain far more interesting than anything else. And then it changed how the fucking ending was. So, and it was fine. It was fine. Jesus Christ, they even made a goddamn sequel that I haven't seen, but it got Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. And that, to me, is a good thing. Eventually, I will see the second Maleficent. But for the most part, you got Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. And Michelle Pfeiffer's is amazing. So, yeah, take that what you will. But to sit there and go like, oh, like, you can't basically have feelings towards something that you grew up with, was special to you. Hell, what if this was a movie that basically was your comfort? Whenever you went through the tough times or the rough times, you saw that, like, you put on this movie and it calmed you down. And then all of a sudden you find out that they're going to make it into a live action, which makes you generally interested because it's like, I know this movie backwards and forwards. So seeing a live action version of it would be an interesting thing to do. I would like to introduce my kids to this movie, even though they've seen the animated one before. I would like to see, like, we're all going to, as a family, collectively go see the live action one now. But can't do it because they start fucking up in the very beginning. This character is not the way how the character is supposed to be. Because that's the character, how the character was always presented, how the character was always meant to be. That's the way how the character I remember and how they became beloved. But if your mindset is, fuck you, it's like, yeah. I would say a perfect example is take Genie from Aladdin and then what they did with the live action with that by making it Will Smith. Was there outcry that Genie wasn't black? No. You know why? Because the majority of times that they shown Genie, whenever he was in a human form, he was like everyone else, like an Arabic-looking dark tone of a color. But even then, that's not something that he typically stayed as. He always remained in that blue form. So then by having it shift within the live-action Aladdin movie, where you see Genie in a human form multiple times, it fit. It made sense as well as it worked, considering how Will Smith portrayed said character. Now, you got to remember, the Aladdin movie was bad, but it wasn't knocked because of Will Smith's performance. It was knocked because of the dumbass narrative changes that they did, whether it be the overhaul of Jafar's character or constantly trying to make the princess seem like a go get him, you go get him girl type of person who assumed that if she got married to a guy, that means she would be the one in power, which is fucking stupid. They were in Arabia. No, nigga. It was like, that's the whole point. A guy was going to rule. And also, that was one of the beauties of Aladdin's character. Being someone who grew up dirt fucking poor and then had to become the Sultan made it perfect in terms of him being able to treat the people of Agrabah a hell of a lot better than how the current Sultan was treating them. The current Sultan liked playing with fucking toys. Yeah, Aladdin grew up in a goddamn hovel with a monkey who would rob people constantly. Yeah, I think he knows where the money should go. And it should not be in gold-plated toys so the Sultan can build a little statue. Fuck no. So, and it's like, to take that, and then you basically have the princess character. I'm going off the rails here, but I don't really give a fuck. But you have the princess, who essentially was someone who was so fucking stupid and inept that she didn't even know how money worked. Like, so that person is supposed to represent and take over the country. Yeah, that makes sense. That's okay. That makes sense. An adrenaline action junkie who has no idea how money works and has grown up behind the walls of a palace her entire life and has no idea what the real world is like, barely have any people skills. That's the one who's going to be able to shape Agrabah and put into a brand new fucking future. I don't give a damn what fucking gay ass song you decided to add into this movie. That was a horrible concept. The movie was bad and you fucked up. But it wasn't because of Will Smith. And so that only further proves my point that if you are a purist, then you understand where this notion of hate comes from. This is something that is not being done, that is adhering to something that has already been done before. It's already been laid out, and all you're telling me is that you're redoing it. Then just redo it. But that's not what you want to do.
With all these bullshit answers, they'd be like, you look at the history of the Little Mermaid. I'm sorry, the history of the Little Mermaid? You mean
All right, now, this is something that a lot of people bring up, and a lot of people talk about, and then you got other people that basically try to use this against them and whatnot. And if you notice that, I haven't brought it up either. But there's a reason for that. Now, Disney has made up shit based off of different lores from different countries and whatnot. I'm surprised they never did Hansel and Gretel. They should have. Honestly, I would have loved to seen an old Disney movie that was a Hansel and Gretel. Why have they never done that? But yeah, like Little Mermaid is, I believe, is Danish. But the thing is that that's not something to where, like, that's not really an argument, because that's not the argument. Let me explain. That's not an argument because, yes, Disney has copied a majority of other folklore stories and things like that from other cultures and then turned them into animated movies that they then profited off of. True. But that does not mean that then entails for Disney to take said property that they already showcased in in one way and then change it into another, and then you're supposed to sit there and accept it only because it's not an original concept thought of by Disney. This literally comes from a fairy tale from another fucking country. That's not the problem. The problem is that this concept that Disney made up based off of that folk tale is what Disney made up. That's what people know. That's what people have watched. That's what people love. And so then upon Disney then coming out and further stating they're going to recreate it, but then they're going to change this. This person's gay. This person's black. This person's Hispanic. This person is Chinese because they need them Chinese bucks. That is what the issue is. That is the problem. That is where all this backlash and whatnot is coming from. And the reason that is because we have seen other tellings of these stories before. Did I not just point out Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella? Cinderella is in no way, shape, or form a black story, and yet Roger Hammerstein's Cinderella has black people in it, and there is no fucking problem with that whatsoever. When Amazon decided to put black people in their Cinderella, like I said, there were a few people who had an issue with this in accordance to how the actual Cinderella story is told and where it takes place. But just like with the Roger Hammerstein story, you can do whatever the fuck you want because this is your telling of the Cinderella movie. Whether it's a hit or a miss depends on your qualifications of being a creative. And much like as we've seen with time, Roger Hammerstein, creative, hit. Amazon Cinderella, not creative, fucking miss, bomb like a motherfucker. So you see that this is not, it's not something to where it's like, okay, you know, if someone brings up the argument that, well, this is based off of this lore and this concept and whatnot, you're missing the fucking plot. Sorry to say this. I know I'm on your side and everything, but you're picking at the wrong thing, because that's not an argument for this. It's not an argument because it doesn't come from anything that's actually tangible within this concept. Yes, those things are based off of white shit, but those white people made the shit and then they made it in their white image. And so then the argument is, now you're taking your white image that you made and you're trying to make it black for money. It's like, that is the problem. That is the issue. Whether or not anyone else takes these white stories and then makes them black is not a problem. That is not an argument. That is never anything that has been looked at with a negative degree or scrutiny that is on the same level as this bullshit. These are stories that have existed, for decades, mind you, as a particular way. And then during a time in which basically we're seeing a lot of diversity hires, we're seeing a lot of fucking race swaps, we're seeing a lot of gender swaps, we're seeing a lot of sexuality swaps, all for the sake of diversity, and then trying to get bucks off of people who don't apparently even go see this shit in the first place. You have to ask the question as to, why are you doing this? Well, for diversity's sake. Okay, who asked for that? Nobody. Like, okay, so then why are you doing it? Because hopefully the nobodies that asked for it will then be willing to give up the money that they have to see it. So the issue, so like the problem that a lot of people are having is by bringing up basically the lore and the historical aspects of where this is, what these are based off of, and it's like, hey, that's not that's you can bring that up, but again, it's not an argument because of the fact that it's like, this was created and done in a way where it's like anyone can do some shit like that. I don't know if you remember, fucking HBO used to do, it was these little segments on like HBO Kids where they would have these black African versions of like all of these fucking white stories. So they had a black version of Hansel and Gretel, James and James and the Bean. I'm about to say James and the Giant Peach. I really want to see that movie for some reason, but Jack and the Beanstalk. There you go. Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella and whatnot. And it was like full of black characters and actors and actresses and whatnot doing the voices for the things. Fucking Whoopi Goldberg was in that. And remember the dumb shit she said about this. And it's like, it's weird that she don't remember that she used to do like voiceovers for that shit and whatnot. But, you know, who am I to bring up something that actually could be used where you can realize that what you're saying ain't utter stupid. But and it's like they used to play that all the time on HBO, like all the time. And it wasn't something that was looked at and it was like, oh, you can't do this. How dare you? Cinderella can't be black. No. You know why? Because it was a different telling of the Cinderella story that was done in any way, shape, or form that they wanted to, because these people were the ones doing it. But what it wasn't was that it wasn't Disney's retelling of the Cinderella story after it's been presented as a reboot of the Cinderella story. Something that comes with the notion that this shit is going to match up in some way, shape, or form with the original. It's being done because the original was so popular, and we're trying to cash in on the popularity of that, even though it's long since been forgotten. We've been moving on to greener pastures. We're now doing everything 3D, never 2D. So then this being live action, all you have to do is copy this bitch with people that exist, and you'd be fine. But you're not doing it. And it's so goddamn bloody apparent that this shit is like way over these motherfuckers' heads, to the point where even when doing a movie that's completely 3D, they still fuck up. And I'm talking about the goddamn Lion King remake, Lion King and the Jungle Book. All that had was one person in it, and it still kept fucking up. How do you do that? Well, Jon Favreau used to watch those movies when he was younger. Yeah, but the nigga kept, he made his dick so rock hard for the goddamn background screenshots and shit that he didn't even think about the actual core concept of the story. So then he really totally fucked. Mowgli burnt down the fucking jungle. Did what? The elephants didn't even march. They didn't sing none of their songs. None of that happened. They weren't even the fucking vultures. This guy was an asshole. Why would he do this? Christopher Walken as King Louis? You son of a bitch. Now, I'm a Jungle Book purist, so you see why I'm so goddamn upset.
Imagination of the Little Mermaid? Yeah, very. I mean, if you look at it, if you were a fan, you would have known that Disney had long created Black Mermaids. Like they did this, they spin off all their movies. They've had tons of them. They had like a Black Mermaid. She did sign language. Used to be a cartoon when we were kids.
Okay, again, he's being disingenuous. He's taking like that. That is so fucking stupid. Jesus Christ, that's so stupid. What he just mentioned was essentially a bad thing for his argument. Like that didn't help him. Right? They always made they've always made Black mermaids. Yes, they did. Like I said, I've seen the Little Mermaid TV show when I was younger. Wasn't somebody in a wheelchair? I believe something stupid like that was something. But yeah, they had a Black mermaid in the Little Mermaid. Like they had quite a few different race of characters within the Little Mermaid. I'm not sure if any of Ariel's sisters are Black, but Ariel got a bunch of different sisters that generally all don't look the same. But the thing with that is that, yeah, that's not the argument here. The argument isn't that a Black mermaid can't exist, but again, he is going off of the concept of like the racial aspect of people being like, well, the mermaid should only just be white or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not the thing. That's not a thing at all. The thing is that, yeah, they had Black mermaids in the Little Mermaid show or in other mermaid tellings and things like that and whatnot. But Ariel was white. She was always white. They never changed her fucking color until now. And that is the issue, is that these people now see through the bullshit. They know this is not coming from a good place. They know this is bad. People understand this shit now because it's been so much of an abundance of it. So you do have people who essentially will see shit like this and then they just kind of let it blow over. I kind of was in that realm, but now because this shit is not becoming so oversaturated, you kind of got no choice but to speak up and say something about it. And the thing is that your argument of being of that, well, Black mermaids exist does not change the fact that Ariel was not a Black mermaid. There were other Black mermaids. Show them in the fucking movie. Have them have a major part now. Give them some more fucking screen time. Fine. Because those characters do exist and that would be fine and interesting. And if you were someone who actually knew about the goddamn shows, you would be like, hey, nice little callback. The little boy who got the little shark fin on him, nice little callback. That was actually one of her friends. Characters that were introduced in either the prequel movies or in this fucking TV series, which essentially is a prequel as well, could get like some shine in this fucking movie. Hell, you can have that Stingray, that Mantis guy who essentially was a villain, be someone who worked for Ursula or something like that, and then you could appear in a sequel that they might possibly do. Because don't do a sequel based off of the Little Mermaid 2. Bad movie. It's a really bad movie. I really want to go into the ocean, Mom. I really want to go into the ocean. Don't is dangerous. Fuck you. Somewhere to swim, somewhere to spin, so I can be and not give a shit. I want to be with all the fish. So stupid. I just want to go out to the ocean. Don't, it's dangerous. Well, what else am I supposed to do? Just be a normal kid. The fuck? Oh, Jesus Christ. But you understand, right? Like, you can see how that's just a bullshit argument. That's a bullshit narrative for a bullshit narrative. My argument to yours is that there was always Black mermaids, right? But Ariel wasn't Black. That's not the point. Yes, it is. Fucking idiot. And you know what's even more insulting is that essentially they're saying like he's saying one thing and then he contradicts it with another. So much like, being like, well, it's a fictional thing, it's a fantasy and whatnot. And then you go, well, there were always Black mermaids. And it's like, but it was a fictional thing, it was fantasy and whatnot. It's like that. No, you can't say that. You can't say that because it was always very. It's like, my God, you gotta pick a fucking lane, right? You pick a fucking lane and the hill you want to die on, and then you die on that hill. But don't change and deviate because all of a sudden it's like, well, only when I say this am I right during this part of the conversation. Only when I say this am I right during this part of the conversation. No, pick a fucking lane. But Jesus Christ, let's keep going.
People don't care about it. They're like, it's never happened. It's just look. Here's the thing. It's not about race. It's just about realism. I'm sorry, what?
That again, that's also a bullshit argument. Like anyone who sits there and tries to bring up realism, no, because yeah, that has no place in something that is of a fictional mindset of a creative content. But that's with anything, right? Like that's generally with anything. These things all come from a white perspective, white narrative, and white mindset. A white group of motherfuckers who decided to draw this shit. So it's like, what the fucking do? Why isn't the argument? Why aren't you doing something new with your vast amount of money, Disney? All the bullshit that you made off of the fucking Marvel movies, and for some reason we only have one black superhero. Why won't you do more? And also, before you say anything, yeah, the Falcon is not a superhero because he does not have superpowers, so he is not a superhero. Gotcha ass. Also, I can't think of anyone else within the Marvel world that's black that matters. So, yeah. Brody, again, no superpowers, so not a superhero. Dumbass. But yeah, like that's not anything that makes sense. And I was like, yeah, but you know, the realism over it and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, well, the realism is that this shit was made one way. It was made this way. And it's like, what should be the argument is that, well, why aren't they pulling their money together and their creative juices to just make a brand new fucking story? Whether it be another mermaid story or whether it be a, or a different Disney princess in general. Why isn't that something that Disney's working towards? Why isn't that where the giant diversity boner is being held at? And then she can be a boss bass bitch all she wants. Boss bass bad bitch. It's like that would be totally fine because then you would have that. We would have more Disney princesses to the repertoire. Then you could sit there and go, now you get to see more black Disney princesses. Whoopity-whoopity-woo. And all those people could be happy about that dumb shit. And then essentially you don't have to fucking rape a goddamn original concept in order to do that. But that's not where you want the narrative to lie. You want it to be disingenuous towards the people who essentially have an issue with this because of the fact that it basically is just utterly fucking stupid. Now, again, I do believe that it is dumb to argue that this is something not grounded in realism. You're talking about something that is fictional. So yes, generally speaking, that does make no sense. But at the same time, to disinherit whatever argument that they are saying is completely retarded. Because whatever grounds that they have for not liking this is their own grounds for not liking this. But at the same time, you also have to understand that this shit is coming from something that has an original source material. There is a reason that these people have something to look back on and go, no, the one of these things is not like the other. Because we've already seen Ariel before and how she's supposed to look. We've seen her image. We've seen how she's supposed to go, how she sings, how she swims, how she talks, walks, all that bullshit. We have an abundance of content dealing and showcasing who the fuck Ariel is. And now they want to make something to where they go, bam, it's a brand new picture of somebody. And then you expect people not to go, what the fuck is this? That's stupid.
And then it's ironic that they try and use representation as the argument the other way around. You know, so they will say, it's not about representation. It shouldn't. Who cares who plays the role? All that matters is the best person gets the job. It's like, have you heard Halle Berry sing?
Again, being disingenuous. And again, he's doing that shit where it's like, nigga, you just said something to where it's like, dig deeper, and then you're gonna find out the root of the problem, which is that Disney sucks. But he doesn't want to go there, and he knows that he doesn't want to go there because, lest you forget, Trevor Noah gets jobs from Disney. The motherfucker was on Black Panther before. So yeah, like it's he might work for Viacom, but he ain't nobody fucking stupid. He still lives in Hollywood, like, or he deals with Holly weird. Yeah, he might be in New York, but that's basically they fucking cousins. Yeah, Hollywood and New York, damn near cousins. So fuck out of here with that. But again, being disingenuous in terms of the argument of basic of essentially going, oh, the other way around is that it's not about representation, it's about getting the best person for the job. The best person for the job would be someone who looks like fucking Ariel. And she does not look like Ariel. Even if she can sing, whoop-de fucking do. Bitch don't look like Ariel. So then she don't get the job. She's not the best person for the job. Ariel's entire identity isn't just her singing. Ariel has red hair. Ariel is white. Ariel has a fucking purple bikini that stops her boobs from showing. Ariel is a dummy who combs her hair with a fucking fork because that is Ariel. And if these things are not in the movie, then you did not make Ariel. And so then that is essentially is completely disinheriting and destroying the identity of said character. And so then you didn't get the best person for the job. You didn't get the people who were the best people to write for this character upon looking for the best one for the job. You fucked up on such a colossal level because this shit is being done for diversity's sake of only gaining a monetary footnote. This shit is not going to make money because this is such a big deal. It is not going to make any money, and it's going to be ridiculous. But it's something to where it's like, yeah, you were completely disinheriting or being disingenuous towards the fact that someone's argument might be, well, you want to get the best person for the job. Did you hear her sing? She would be the best person for the job. She's black. That is not the best person for the job. Ariel is white. It is the equivalent of when they were making a brand new CGI Lion King and Simba was a fucking bobcat. Simba's supposed to be a lion, right? But like you see, like it's so much better. We can make such a far more detailed bobcat than we can a lion. But that's not what Simba is. But it's still the same movie. It's just with a bobcat. The movie's called Lion King. Until you see how disingenuous that conversation would be because of how stupid it sounds. Because it's not the best thing for the job. And it's like the best person we got to animate the Lion King just does bobcats amazing. So we switched out Simba for a goddamn bobcat. And the whole movie is just going to be a bobcat. Even when he fights Scar, even when he fights the hyenas, all of that. It's going to be a bobcat. Because the best person for the job is good at bobcats. And it's like, that is the most retarded fucking thing I ever heard. Well, we got a character that is innately, always have been, and always will be white. Let's get a black girl to play her. Why? That's the best person for the job. We've always seen this character as one way. We've always depicted this character as one way. Even to this day, we still only showcase this character as one way. Yet for some reason in this movie, she's a different color. And it's like, nigga, you can't tell that to anybody and make it sound less fucking stupid.
Have you heard her sing? You know, tell me the best person. Like, who do you think they've got? You think Disney is just out there in the street like you? Come, there's no.
But they are. That's exactly what they did. They just pulled this random black bitch off of the streets so she could play Ariel because they needed a black girl to play her because that's what they wanted. They wanted a black girl to play her. Does that mean that they needed a black girl to play her? Did they find the best singing black bitch to do it? No. Fuck no. And the girl ain't even pretty. I gotta say this because I've been holding it back. She is not pretty at all. Hell, Zendaya looks better than her. And I think of Zendaya like I would a niece. That's what I always say. Zendaya is a handsome girl. Girl wears pantsuits and shit. Ain't got no type of body. There's literally zero sex appeal when it comes to Zendaya. I would prefer Zendaya than this girl any time of the week. Girl, eyes are too fucking far apart. Look like when they show pictures of her, she just looks like this emotionless robot. And it is so creepy. And she just looked like fucking Sid from Ice Age. And I'm sorry, but that ain't Ariel. Oh my goodness. I always hate saying I'm sorry because I'm not. I said what I said and I meant it. Yeah, Zendaya is a handsome girl, but nothing that I would ever want to fuck. Never have I looked at Zendaya and I was like, man, my penis is getting hard. Ever. Not once. She could be butt ass naked and I already know that her body is like ugh. Like, you look like a little boy. Get out of here. Get out of my room before I get arrested. And it's like, yeah, this bitch can't. And it was like, yeah, she might be able to sing. It was like, for the most part, it's like, yeah, she sounds like a generic whatever to me. So again, it ain't the best person. So fuck out of here with that. It's like, this is just, it's just completely retarded.
You think they play games like that?
And it's like, yes, they do. Disney does this shit all the time. And it's like, we have multiple examples of them pulling this shit. And someone who works in the realm of, even if it's mockery of media or news and anything like that, you fucking work in this field and you know for a fact that they do shit like this. They do pull random people off of the streets to be in acting roles and whatnot. That's how they got their fucking Marvel lineup now. They're just random whoever's of motherfuckers who barely have any experience, and they got them to either direct or star in their shit. So don't act fucking retarded when it comes to the notion of like, oh, they just pick anybody for any old thing. They do. They generally do. And then they stick them in roles and stick them in parts that they ain't really prepared for or ready for or anything like that, only for the sake of the fact that, hey, we checking a goddamn box. And then they literally did a whole fucking movie where the entire movie's purpose was to be a box checker of diversity, which was the fucking Eternals, and it did bad. So fuck out of here with that notion that, oh no, this is Disney, the professional company that currently is losing money. They don't fuck up. They've never done stupid, inherently dumb shit when it comes to casting, acting, or general writing in any of their movies, let alone something that's a fucking reboot of some shit that's already existed prior that generally might need an extra strong a song here or more dialogue there. They've never fucked up. Oh wait, literally every single reboot that they did was terrible. Oh my god, wait, that can't be. Goddamn idiots. Oh my goodness, someone thought it was a good idea to reboot Dumbo. Why? That should have been a joke. That should have always been a joke. But they did it. Fucking idiots.
He is the best person for the job. You're angry about who the best person was. That's what you're angry about.
No, because who the best person was, you know for a fact wasn't the best person. You know it wasn't. Because the best person would have looked like fucking Ariel. So you being upset at who the best person was. No, I'm upset at who they picked because of what that represents and what that means. They are using this girl and the fact that she is dark of skin, and then basically too fucking stupid to realize that you don't put yourself in a terrible position. Fuck if it's a Disney movie or not. You've put yourself in a terrible position because you are now the face of a bad idea. And you will forever stay the face of a bad idea. Speak to anyone who's acted in the brand new Star Wars movies. You are a face of a bad idea. Only reason John Boyega gets a goddamn pass is because of the fact that he was able to speak out on the shit after he was done filming, and he talked about how, yeah, Disney did him wrong. Promising him a role that's supposed to go one way, but instead it went another way because there was no fucking direction because it's being led by a dumbass. Yeah. So then people, like the nerds, were able to give him the benefit of the doubt because best believe nerds gonna blame somebody. And it was like they gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, hey, he hunky dory as far as they concerned. Everybody else, fuck out of here. I don't even like Star Wars. It's like, damn, this shit is annoying. This shit is dumb. It's like, how can you be this stupid and this obtuse towards something that is like, it's so blatant and in your face, and it's like, and then you're supposed to come across as someone who is intelligent. So then it's like, pull that fucking intelligence. Don't sit here and assume or act as if this shit is only advocating towards a racist aspect. No, nigga, this shit is advocating towards a horrible racist aspect that's coming from a goddamn committee of motherfuckers that are trying to get monetary gain off of a racist aspect. That is what you should be talking about. That is the argument that you should be having. That is the thing that you should be disgusted with, not other people's attempt to rebuttal this bullshit because they just don't like it. God damn it, I don't like it. I don't like The Little Mermaid, but I don't like this change of character because that's innately just so fucked up. And it's like, it's coming from nothing but a bad place. It's only going to be used in a negative way. And it's just so horrible to see that to something that basically has existed for longer than any of the writers who are writing this fucking show have even existed. And yet, here we are. Here we are. And for some reason, that's what you're not talking about.
And it's like, no, but the Little Mermaid, she means so much. And I don't deny that. I don't deny that it must have been amazing for any redhead little girl to see the Little Mermaid. It must have been amazing. It's a beautiful experience.
All right, watch this bullshit. Watch this. This is going to be funny.
But the movie's still there.
If you happen to be a fan of anything, then you know exactly how terrible it is to hear someone stupid say some shit like that. Because that's the dumbest fucking thing you could ever possibly say to somebody, right? That happens to be a fan of something that you decide to recreate or remake or whatever. Kevin Smith said this shit when he did the He-Man show. And blatantly, people constantly say this whenever they reboot the movies and whatnot. This is always their go-to fucking argument for this shit, as well as one of the dumbest things that you could ever possibly say. Because the notion of, well, the original is still there, should come with the follow-up notion, then why are you trying to change it? Right? So you see how that works? So to say that the original is still there, but these people decide that they want to change it or tweak a little bit, and that's well within their rights, then it's like, well, why are they changing and tweaking this? Why aren't they making something new if they have this creative juices flowing in which to change some shit? Because it's not like you can't tweak a story just a little bit, change a bunch of characters' names, and then basically make a whole new fucking movie. Because that is plausible. That is a thing. Motherfuckers been doing that for Lord of the Rings for years. That's a thing. Yet, you don't want to do that. No, you know why you don't want to do that? Because the money and the fandom that comes from this shit being a part and associated with this already known and established namesake is what you're trying to get. That's the teat you want to suckle on. So you need that namesake in order for you to get that money. But you don't want to copy what it is that already exists because you feel, I can make it better. We can make more gay than ever before. Ooh, let's take some characters that aren't black and then turn them black or white or Asian or gayer than ever before. Let's do all of the things that this show has never done or never been associated with and then promote that, showcase that, bring that up to the people who have only been asking to just see the old thing new. That's it. That's all you had to do, and that's all that you would have needed to do in order for you to gain some type of fucking money. And then just appease the fans, make your damn thing, and then you move the fuck on to the next project. But that's not what's happening. What we have is basically a dumbass argument like this, which is that the original still exists. You can always go back and watch the original. That way you don't have to be upset at the fact that they're changing the new one in order to manipulate and disrupt how people think, perceive, or even associate with the actual original thing. Even though the original thing is the reason why we're here in the first fucking place. So then you just have to ask that question. Why are we changing it if there's nothing wrong with it? If there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, why aren't we just re-releasing The Little Mermaid in theaters? I don't know. We're not. That's not what we're doing. That's not what's happening. That's not what's going on. What's going on is that they're remaking it. It's a fucking reboot, remake, or whatever. And they're doing it by changing the actual titular character, switching their race to black, and then showcasing a goddamn teaser where the only thing that they do show is this black changed character. Now, the thing is that people should have been outraged when they announced this shit, but once people were able to actually see this stuff and then know it for real, then you got something. Because you only got people who basically hear about this stuff in terms of nerdism, or people who actually dig deep or look into movies and shit like that before they actually come out or whatever. But when the trailer actually got released and then you were able to actually see the shit become tangible, well, then the regular people who essentially were able to finally see it, there you go. You got the outcry and the backlash that you didn't think you were going to get. Because you thought you were doing the right thing. You thought you were doing it the way that it should have been. This is what is correct. She's a blackamoor under the sea. But again, it is such a dumbass fucking argument because that is not. It is so angry to hear that from like anybody when it's like you're not a fan. You don't get it. You couldn't possibly get it because you don't fucking care. The people who are doing this don't care. But the people who generally are upset and don't like the fact that the argument would be, well, the original still is out there, even though they're clamoring for the fact that this new thing should just be like the original. Well, it's because they actually care. The thing that they know that they associate and that they like is the original. And so then that's what you're trying to gain is their love of the original and essentially trying to recreate that magic all over again. But you decide to race swap some characters and then you assume that that basically is going to be okay. That generally isn't going to be a problem for anybody. That's going to be just fine. No, it's not an okay thing to do. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. That's a very, very bad thing.
You know what I'm saying? It's not gone. You can't not watch it. It hasn't been burned. It is still there. You can still watch it and you can enjoy it. I do all the time. It's not going anywhere. It's like you get so angry. But what about the little girls with red hair who want what? See themselves in what? A Disney cartoon? Like are you being serious right now? You have the Princess and Brave. She was red.
See, and again, being disingenuous. By naming other redhead characters, that doesn't change the fact that Ariel, who is a white girl redhead character, is being changed in order to manipulate some type of sympathetic mindset of diversity. And that shouldn't be the case. If they wanted to make a black princess for any reason, they should just make a new black princess. But that's not what they wanted to do because they want the money that comes from the name of reusing Little Mermaid, something that they are associated with that already made money. And that's something that people like, something that has a fandom, something that has a backing, something that essentially already have them have pre-counted heads of asses and seats for when this shit actually comes out. That's what they're doing. That's what they're looking at. How can you be so disingenuous towards this shit when you know that that is what they do? They've always done this. They keep doing this. So the fact that it's like you're going to start naming off other fucking redhead characters, yeah. But the thing is that what you're not understanding and evaluating is that what if all of those redhead characters get changed? Which is essentially what they would be, what they were like on the path of doing, because that's what's fucking happening. We shouldn't have a black Ariel because Ariel is only ever going to be Ariel. So there should not be a race swap version of the character, nor should you sit there and go, well, you still the original still out there. No, motherfucker, the original is why we're doing this. So then just adhere to the original. Find the best person for the job, which is a white girl with red hair, and bam, make sure the bitch can sing. And even then, if she can't, better be real good at lip syncing. But it's like, this is such a fucking terrible, terrible argument. This is literally what a straw man is. I am trying to distract you from the actual issues by bringing up bullshit. You still got other redhead girls you can look up to. That doesn't fucking mean anything. There's a bunch of black-haired characters I could look up to, but goddamn it, if they ever did anything to Goku, we got problems, nigga. I have a problem with you. Jesus Christ. And they did. And that movie rightfully got the boot in his ass like it deserved. Fucking bitch. So how dare you sit there and try to act as if this is something that just can be easily swept under the rug as just a bunch of other people being stupid? No, not at all. Not one fucking bit. This is something that inherently Disney needs to stop doing because it's not making them any money. It's not being done in a positive way, and it's not good at all. It's just not good.
Remember her, right? You have Anna from Frozen, right? You have the little kid from Up, who like pulls up the helmets and like the hair does a thing.
That ain't even that stupid because that's the old lady who died before she was able to accomplish her dream. So that wasn't something that you could look at and be like emulated, or be like, oh, I'll look up to her. But just fucking like this is so stupid. It's just so stupid. There's other redhead characters you can look up to, so you don't gotta worry about that. It's just fiction. God, this is so stupid. It's so stupid because it's like you can sit someone down in a room and then it's like you put them to the test by taking something that they actually like and care for and then changing it. And then watch how their entire world crumbles. Because then it's like, well, now it's a problem. And it's like, yeah, you fucking hypocrite. And like I said, I don't even like the Little Mermaid, but essentially, I'm against this bullshit happening to anything of any creative nature on any scope. You want to make a black princess, make a black princess. Do that. You want to make a black version of the Little Mermaid? Make a black version of the Little Mermaid. Don't take the Little Mermaid and then turn her black and then think that that means the same fucking thing. Because it does not. God damn it. This is so stupid.
The cutest thing is like, remember that? Red hair. There's tons of other characters. There are more.
Motherfucker, there's a bunch of goddamn comic book characters with red hair. What the fuck does that got to do with anything? None of those characters are Ariel. That's not the argument here. The argument is that they took Ariel and changed her black. That is the problem. That is what needs to change. That is what this is. It's a precursor for shit that they constantly keep doing that needs to stop. We already know that they're about to make Snow White Latina or black or whatever. Even though literally the point of her character and what is said within the Snow White story on all fronts, Disney, the actual lore, whatever, what have you, is the fact that her name comes from the fact that her skin is as white as snow. So what the fuck? So it's like to sit there and go, well, there's other characters with white skin out there. There's Superman, there's Wonder Woman, there's a bunch of them. You can identify with those characters. What the fuck they gotta do with Snow White being changed? It's so stupid. Like I said, it's so disingenuous. It's completely acting as if like, yeah, this isn't that big of a deal. And it is. It really is a big deal. Because this shit keeps happening. And it shouldn't.
Red-haired Disney like stars, like women who are stars in the franchise, than black women. But now you're gonna make it seem like it's not like one.
But that doesn't change anything. Retaking the character of Ariel and then turning her black is not deviating from what you just fucking said. God damn it. See, now I'm getting pissed. Like, that doesn't take away, that doesn't add another black Disney princess, you dumbass. That just means that you've made a movie about a cosplayer. Do you not understand that? Ariel will always be associated, always be identified, and always be processed as white. Always. And so because of that, just because you decided to take one movie and then change that character's color because of that one movie does not mean that forever within the tomes of history, Ariel will also be associated with a black chick. When people close their eyes and they think of the princess Ariel from The Little Mermaid, they will always see the white girl with red hair and the goddamn green turquoise fin and the purple fucking bikini top. That's what they will always see, no matter what. So to think that for some reason, by including a black version of a character that already exists, is going to change people's perspective of that character is completely fucking retarded. That is so goddamn retarded. Even now, to this day, I challenge you. Okay, this is a challenge for anyone listening to this. If you're not like driving or some shit, close your eyes. Right, close your eyes, and like I'm gonna do a little test for you. All right, close your eyes, picture blank. Only listen to my voice. Are you listening to my voice? Listen very carefully to my voice. Okay, you close your eyes. You listen to my voice. Now I want you to. I'm about to say a character's name, and I need you to picture that character. Okay. Now I'm gonna say a character's name, and I need you to picture this character. This is for something. This is a worldwide recognized character. All right. Someone I've talked about before. You're probably trying to guess who, but don't. Just clear your mind, and here we go. All right. A world-renowned and recognized character, and I'm gonna say their name. All right. Here we go. World-renowned, recognized character. Spider-Man. How many of you motherfuckers thought of Miles Morales? There you go. That's the point. That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking. How many of you pictured fucking Peter Parker? Brown head, little skinny white boy Peter Parker from any iteration of Peter Parker that has ever existed? Or did you picture Miles Morales? No. This is that bullshit, man. I swear. This is just so stupid. It's like to be this incredibly this it's just pure ignorance. It really is. In terms of dealing with or handling something that you can see in front of you is fucking wrong. You know that it's wrong. It ain't right. It ain't coming from anywhere good. And yet to just be completely diminished and like skip over it for absolutely no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that you truly believe this is progress. When it's not, it clearly isn't. The test I just fucking did about fucking Peter Parker and Spider-Man and everything, that proves what I shot over doubt. There will never be a moment in history where the character of Miles Morales will ever overshadow fucking Peter Parker Spider-Man. Even to this day now, because of the abundance of spider people that they keep adding into the Spider-Verse, or dealing with Peter Parker's character, you now have a plethora of motherfuckers who are trying to take up or redo the mantle of Spider-Man. And it does nothing. They're terrible comics that do nothing, and they have terrible characters that all are trying to be some shape or form a different type of Spider-Man. But the problem is that there can only ever be one Spider-Man. But the character is just so goddamn popular that you just want to milk him for everything that he's got. So they're trying to split him off in all these fucking directions. And luckily for me, the character is just so goddamn popular that it's not killing him. But at the same time, it for damn sure ain't helping him. But there will never be a moment where I can sit there and go, oh yeah, a reason a kid likes this character is because of Miles fucking Morales. No, it's because Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is just a black version of said Spider-Man. So then there's no distinction between the two other than a goddamn pigmentation of the fucking skin. So no matter what, even if you were to have a kid have a mask of Miles Morales, I know for a fact they will call themselves Spider-Man. And then when they think about who Spider-Man is, they're not going to think of Miles fucking Morales. So, goddamn it, this is so arbitrarily stupid to sit there and say or to bring up or to do anything into which you believe that by adding in a black version of an already established and well-known white character means that you now have an extra black character that accounts to the same, that they're on that same fucking level. You are an idiot. You are an absolute fucking idiot. God damn it.
One should be against the other. There's no need. You have the Little Mermaid. It's fun. Now you got how they bring the real version of it. That's fun. Don't make it about realism. Look, it's because it's under the sea. There's a crab. There's a crab that is going to talk, and you're worried about this element. People are like, oh, I just think it should be. It's the whole thing. And then I love when people go, oh yeah. So if you don't care, then how would you feel if the Black Panther was played by a white guy?
That is an argument. That is an argument because it's literally the exact same thing. It's a fictional character being race swapped for absolutely no fucking reason whatsoever, even though his original titular version of him is a particular color, and then that stays that way. That is literally the same thing. That is literally the same thing. And if you know anything about T'Challa, then you would understand exactly why that would be something that people would be upset about, right? And then, but
I'm like, well, the difference here is the Black Panther. Blackness is central to the character.
Nope, dumbass. Okay, because his name is Black Panther does not mean that he has to be a black person, you fucking idiot. Black Panther is a goddamn animal, and he has an animal mantle in terms of his superpowers. So that's it. That's why he's called the Black Panther. It has nothing to do with his skin. There are white people in Africa. You know this. You're part white, dumbass. And so because of that, it would not be far-fetched for a white person to have the power when the only reason you could get the power, if you go by the goddamn movie that you were on, if you go by the goddamn movie, all you need to do is eat those goddamn MacGuffin juice berries or whatever, and then you have the powers of the Black Panther. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So then that means that it could go to anybody, especially considering that it's something that's been passed down for whoever is the king of Wakanda. But the thing is that we already have a challenge concept for kings, meaning that anyone can whoop the ass of the current people leading the Wakanda, and so then they can become the Black Panther and then become the king of Wakanda. So it's not like it's something that's only deviated towards a family line or anything like that. No, it's literally anyone who can get them hands on that fucking fruit can become the Black Panther. And so because of that, that also means that any white person, if they were to be included in this story, could then eat one of those goddamn berries and then become the fucking Black Panther. Now, what that movie did that would essentially made it to where they'll to where you could not just fucking race swap this character and then it'd be like, oh, whatever, is the fact that T'Challa is the second smartest person in the entire Marvel universe. If you go by the original comics before, all these feminists started to fuck shit up. But he was the second smartest character in all of Marvel comics. And he was Wakandan and he was black. But it's not to say that you couldn't make him white. Hell, you could have it on some goddamn Moses shit. Some orphan white kid from down the river or whatever, and somewhere in South Africa just got attacked by gorillas or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. And then he was on a little bed of reeds, and he just went down the little river into the force field of Wakanda. They found him and adopted him, and he just started whooping all these niggas' asses. And then he's the one who rightfully became the heir to Wakanda. And then they call him colonizer and whatnot as a joke, but he still drink the juice berries, and then he's Black Panther. And then because he wears his suit, everyone assumes he's a black guy, but he's not. I just made Tarzan. So it's not that the blackness is integral to the character. It's just that the character is black. So that is what's integral to the character. That's what he is. It's not what it could do. Like, no, you are black. T'Challa is black. The King of Wakanda, the Black Panther, is a black man. He is an African from Africa with dark pigmented fucking skin who then drinks a goddamn juice berry that gave him the powers of the fucking Black Panther. That is who that character is. So you cannot deviate from that when depicting him. Otherwise, you're no longer doing said character. Do you not understand how you're contradicting yourself, you dumbass? So now that you have Ariel, a white mermaid with red hair, a purple bikini, turquoise fucking tail, with beauty and an ability to sing her goddamn heart out, and is one of the most beautiful things in the world, gives up her voice in order to be with a man in whom she knows nothing about. That's who that character is. That's what makes Ariel Ariel. So to take any of that away from her is to take away who the character is. Period. It works on both spectrums. It can't work for one and not the other. Motherfucker, there are white people in Africa, so there could be a white Black Panther. It'd be fucked up, but there could be one. And right now we have a white Ariel. Could there have been a white Ariel? There could have been. It's fucked up, but there could have been. But the thing is that there isn't. Like, there's not supposed to be. That's not who that character is. Fuck. It's like, just act like how retarded it is to basically have so many fucking contradictions in what you're talking about. And it's like, how are you not aware of it? Like, Jesus Christ. Because like Black Panther is not integral to his identity at all. Him being black is like, Black Panther does not have to be a black person. Not at all. It's like Captain America being a white guy. He doesn't have to be, but Steve Rogers is Captain America. Fuck.
Literally. You know what I mean? It's like, literally, that is the whole point of the thing.
No, it isn't. It really isn't. It's not.
By the way, if you're going to bring a white guy who's going to be like, bring him. I want to see that guy. Just for fun. Just bring that guy. Just for the fun of it. Let's see what happens. There are many people who haven't seen themselves on screen. You're going to get angry. You're going to get angry because now somebody who's in a wheelchair is playing this role. You're going to get angry because somebody who's black is now playing that role. The original is still there. There are many parts that are still out there. It's not like there is nothing left. It's not like there's one movie in the world and there's one story and this is the only way you can tell it. There are many.
But that's not what's happening. You're not getting a different telling of Little Mermaid. You're getting a race swapped version of Little Mermaid. See what I mean? Disingenuous. This is when it's like you're taking bits and you're just being a fucking idiot when it comes towards establishing and evaluating it. It's like no one is saying that there aren't different ways to tell the story of Little Mermaid. Hell, the actual story of Little Mermaid ends horribly, but that's not what we're doing. We're taking the Disney beloved version that existed for so many fucking years and then race swapping it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Like, there's no reason. Now, look at something like fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original April was black, but she was depicted in all of the cartoons and everything hereafter white. And then when they did the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, they had a black April. No one got upset when they saw the black April, because if you knew anything, then you would know that that's how April was supposed to be. I personally did not know that growing up. I did not know that when I was older, when Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. I did not know that there was a black April. So then upon seeing that, it was something that I was confused about, because I've always seen April depicted as white. But do you see how detrimentally damaging that could be towards the original source material of any fucking kind of content? I grew up not knowing that a major fucking character in a series that I had that I loved as a child actually had a character who was a different fucking race and was swapped only for the sake of whoever was the white overlord when they were doing this goddamn cartoon decided to swap her for. I never got to grow up experiencing or knowing that April O'Neil was a black woman. Did not know that. Let me see. Let's see. Original April O'Neil. See, now I'm trying to see if she was a good picture of her. Like, I mean, it's like looking up an actual good picture of her is ridiculous. An assistant to the famous Jennifer Baxter. I didn't know she was Baxter Stockman's assistant. Uh, Damn, she had curly hair. That's crazy. Let me see if I can find more. See, it seems more so like she was light skinned, but she did have incredibly curly fucking hair, like very curly hair. And then I'm kind of getting mixed messages here, because she has an abundance of shit where there is her with dark skin, but then there's like in the earlier ones, I don't know if it like they weren't able to basically showcase it, you know? Um, it's iffy. Mm. Uh, okay. Well, I guess what April, what is depicted is that essentially they really didn't have a concept for her origin, right? So because of that, they never had like a truly, like, her look was just her look, but her last name is essentially Irish in origin because it is O'Neill. But they generally didn't really have a depiction of a race for her, and so then essentially it kind of skewed towards black because of how they drew her. But then it later changed as their drawings of her and depictions of her just started to waver. And then you got to remember the early editions and versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were, you know, done in a very rough black and white, like really rough black and white. Also, it's funny how like April would kind of like, go to them for compliments on her looks and whatnot, and then with them it's like, you're a human, so they weren't really attracted to her, which was always to me hilarious. But yeah, it's still something to where it's like I grew up with her from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Heroes in a Half Shell, and that April looks vastly fucking different from how she was in the original comics. I mean, the same goes for the Turtles when you think about it. But the statement itself is that, because of the fact that it was someone's creative vision to change how this character looks, it drastically changed basically my perception of the character growing up. So I was led to believe that this character has always and always will be this white girl wearing a fucking yellow jumpsuit. That's all I knew. And so then upon seeing other things within Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it always threw me for a loop because it's like, why is she wearing a yellow jumpsuit? Like, how do I know she's a reporter if she's not in her reporter clothes? I am confused. But you gotta understand that essentially that is something that is detrimental as well as harmful, especially to fucking children, which is something that this thing is catered towards because all it does is warp their minds into believing some dumb ass narrative that should never be present in the first fucking place. This is some bullshit. This is terrible because you are literally taking a character, race swapping them from absolutely no reason other than the fact for monetary gains. And then all this can do is manipulate and change and skew the minds of any child who will go into looking at Little Mermaid. Because now when they look at the Little Mermaid, they won't be able to recognize or identify with the original because they probably have never even seen that. And that's terrible to try to do that to kids rather than actually make something that then could adhere to other children being interested and invested in more of your characters that already exist. Yes, you can do a live action reboot of Little Mermaid, but damn sure make sure that you're copying what Little Mermaid actually is. And then you can make another movie about another Disney princess that basically does inherently better than anything else that you possibly have done in terms of actually creating a relatable, likable, and understandably amazing character that just happens to fucking be black. Jesus Christ, how hard is this to do? Seriously. All right, but we're almost at the home stretch now, so just bear with me for a little bit more, okay?
You can tell it. There are many. Calm down. Or at the very least, we should get them to meet with Ursula and she'll take their voices away. Like, if somebody kisses you, yeah, don't come back. Ready?
All right.
I was so angry. Then you go touch grass, man.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, so that was the end. He ended on a joke that if you don't know anything about Little Mermaid, then you won't get. Not saying that the joke was bad, just saying that don't care. It was even more fucked up is that I paused. And realistically, I could have just let it play through and then ended on what I did earlier because that was basically a perfect ending. But yeah, that was a bad take. That was a bad take from someone who essentially is shilling out for Disney for absolutely nothing. Jesus Christ. Like, this sucks. This really sucks. It sucks. I'm more than anything about in terms of integrity towards like original properties or anything like that. I'm more so upset in terms of the integrity for things to come, right? If you didn't know, within the creative scape, there have been a multitude of things that essentially have been changed, showcased, or placated to being different in regards to stuff appeasing different groups of people. Whether or not those people actually care or like the things that you did and then that they are trying to change, they could care less. They don't give a fuck. What they care about is checking the box. What they care about is being able to showcase and say, hey, we got so and so on this and they're blank. And then because they're blank, that means you, a blank, could identify with them. Rather than understanding and like adhering to stuff to where I keep using the word here, rather than identifying with these characters because they are who they are, they're created the way that they were created, they are who they are, and then that's what storytelling and character development and just overall story, plot, all that junk is supposed to be about, is to get you, the reader, invested and interested in what it is that you're looking at. And yeah, starting from scratch is hard. It will always be hard. You have no background or a base of anything, and so you kind of have to go from there. Hell, that's why a majority of people, when they do fantasy shit, tend to copy Tolkien, and they'll use orcs, elves, and all that shit. That stuff was him. He made that stuff up, and it has been diluted, copied, polluted, whatever, throughout the years into a multitude of different things. And I'm not gonna say that everything and anything that came out based around that concept has been bad or good, or that that's innately bad or good. No, it's a story element. It's something that you like. You read Lord of the Rings, you like Lord of the Rings, you like what Lord of the Rings was about, and then you made up your own story that is basically seeped within certain concepts and archetypes that are found within Lord of the Rings. Whether or not you have your own certain twist to them is your own prerogative. You know, there's nothing that says you can't do that. But again, what these people are making are not Lord of the Rings, um, the underground, shit like that. It's not doing that. I mean, you literally got that with the fucking Amazon show that's currently out right now, where they literally don't own the rights to everything that it is that they wanted to do or that they wanted to showcase within their show, and then they wrote a bad show because they don't have the rights to everything that they wanted to do. And then when it came to them making up shit on their own, you're proving your worth because they aren't worth a dime because these motherfuckers are not creative. They're not good writers. They're not talented. That's why you got what you got. You guys wasted $1 billion. So stupid. But it's a perfect example for what I'm talking about. In terms of actually dealing and making something that's the Lord of the Rings in a timeline in which people know more about that storyline and that concept than ever before, you can't do like you're failing to even do that. You can't even do that properly, even though that should be one of the best showcase things ever because it means so much to so many people who have done other stuff in relation to it, whether it be things like the fucking Dungeons and Dragons concept within their stories and the games and things like that, or it be like the video games that copy fantasy element, Baldur's Gate, which basically is Dungeons and Dragons. I'm tripping. Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age, fucking. I'm saying Dragon Age because I'm currently playing that right now. Fucking Dragon Age, just anything with fantasy, dragons, monsters, elves, dwarves, you name it. Hell, I love Dragon Age concepts of their fantasy world. I really do. I prefer that over most things. And one of the animes that I'm watching right now is fucking Overlord, and that's one of my favorites. And that is just essentially taking the concepts and elements of an RPG, which are typically a fantasy RPG, which are typically based in uh, essential copies of shit like World of Warcraft, which is a Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings kind of simple copy type deal thing. It's that type of dynamic and shit being placated, showcased, and done all whichever ways you imagine, but they're being their own original thing. Look at how big World of Warcraft is. You couldn't tell anyone that was playing World of Warcraft, well, Lord of the Rings is better. It was like, no, World of Warcraft is World of Warcraft. It's not meant to be compared. It was something that it could have gotten some inspiration from. It could have been a book that's a favorite of some of the main developers or something like that. And I'm not trying to say anything about in terms of the game quality now or shit that's going on with Blizzard or anything like that. I'm just trying to make a point. But I'm just saying, speaking to the point of just these things come from places, like ideas and these wonderful stories and all these things that you like and you love. Hell, Batman isn't like that. That is like based off of what is it? The Shadow, isn't that his name? I believe so. And it's like a pulp fiction story, not the movie Pulp Fiction, but the actual genre of Pulp Fiction. It's a Pulp Fiction story. Same thing with Superman, where the character that he's kind of based off of was literally his nickname was a Superman, but he actually had like a regular name or whatever. But it it's just showing, like, to me, it speaks volumes in terms of being able to look at something, recognize it, like it, understand, like you understand it, you like it, you hold it dear, and then you make your own shit, you know? You're not trapped in the bowels of being like, I want to take what it is that I like and then redo it under the same name, but under my own draven image. And it's like, you know for a fact that what it is that you're about to do and what you're about to like what you're trying to accomplish has it can hold no water, right? It's worthless because it's nothing. It's a hollowed version of what it is that you like, and you know it. So instead of tempting fate and trying to, oh, I don't know, rename it, call it something else, and then put it out there and see if anyone starts biting at it. I'm getting a lot of fish and water analogies right now. But instead of seeing if anyone biting at it, you decide that it would make more money if you just call it what it is that you're copying. And that's terrible. It's a terrible way to handle the creative process because it doesn't do anything. There have been reimaginings of different things that essentially have been better than its predecessor, but you have to actually analyze and evaluate those shit things and in terms of why and how they did better than what previously came before it, you know, or like looking at it and go, hey, how come the last Batman movie was Batman and Robin? And by all intents of like all intents and purposes, because the last movie was essential a colossal bleh of a movie, wouldn't the next Batman movie, regardless of whatever genre, namesake, or thing that they tried to make, just also be taken in and considered with the same type of heavy scrutiny and whatnot? No, because the Batman story that you got was basically a different set Batman story involving different things, different concepts and whatnot. It's still the story of Batman, but it was told from someone else's perspective. Now, what they did not change was core elements of the character that made that character him. It's what made Batman Batman. So, dead parents, trained, and he uses a bat in terms of his costume. He has a fucking butler named Alfred. He's white. Alfred's white. Majority of the people he fights are gangsters and criminals. Batman. That's it. But the story, how the story progressed, how his training went, the things that he did, the other elements added in. Rachel! All of that was added in stuff that essentially added to the character. It didn't take away, it didn't change, it added. Now, whether or not you accept those additions or you take away from those additions, that's up to you. Me personally, can't stand Batman Begins. Hate that movie. But The Dark Knight, seen that so many times I can't even tell you. Love that movie. Love it. Problem is, gotta see Batman Begins. I don't understand it. Somewhat. Like, you don't have to, but it helps. It kind of helps. Far better movie. But it just, I would never have gotten that movie if Batman and Robin didn't exist. You know, it's like, you got to remember that. Or if Batman Begins didn't exist, or if Christopher Nolan didn't do what he did to the movies that he made. There's just so many factors that comes into play in terms of just getting something that I hold in a high regard of good entertainment. And then essentially looking at other things that could be spewed and has mountains upon mountains of evidence of leading yourself to a bad end when it comes to entertainment. And it's like you got a big conglomerate like Disney that just does not get the fucking memo that this shit, you're doing it in order to make money. But these people that you're catering to don't spend money on your shit. So you're already catering to the wrong fan base. You're doing terrible shit that's innately upsetting people to their core about shit that you own. And what's even more retarded is that it's a company that is solely based off of entertainment. That's it. That's all Disney does is produce and showcase entertainment content. Meaning that their only fucking job is to make sure that they get you to spend money on them. But if they can't do that correctly, then they have every right to burn. Because how do you fuck up on the one thing that you're supposed to do, which is entertain the masses with your individual properties, whether they be new or old? So you decide to make a reboot of Little Mermaid. of Little Mermaid because essentially it's cheaper than there would be of actually redoing a brand new animated movie or something like that, or trying to put it all in your money and in showcasing a movie or something like that. When right now you don't really know if there's a hit or a miss in terms of like story or anything like that. You're looking over scripts, looking at stuff, not really sure if you want to add a new Disney princess now or you want to do one later, or you got other movies in the works. All that shit being factors and whatever. So you just want to easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's do a reboot of Little Mermaid. We've done reboots of other things. Let's pop it out there. Hey, every time we've done a reboot, it's been made with heavy scrutiny because basically we've been fucking up on certain areas. Beauty and the Beast was so fine until you made it to where Gaston, little little sidekick lackey guy, just turned out to be sort of gay. We didn't admit it, but it kind of sort of gay, I guess. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But it was weird, and that was the only thing that people focused on, and it was a negative aspect of the movie. Whether it be something that should have been in or it shouldn't have, you didn't need it. You added it, and then you promoted it, and then when people talked about it, they went, "Why would you do that? Why did you have this in here?" And they just, we're so much of an ally. We're allies all around. Gay, gay, gay. And then when the shit goes overseas and they go, "Oh, we can't, we're not showing that." They're like, "Yeah, we're not playing this movie if it has this stuff." "Oh, don't worry, we're going to cut it. We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out immediately. There's no need to worry. No need to be displeased. We have all your needs over at Crazy Disney." And so it's like the mindset of just shutting up and letting this shit come to pass. Whether it be the race swap dwarves in Lord of the Rings or the race swap, um, damn, what are they? They're not Targaryens, but they're kind of related to Targaryens. They both got white hair. But the black people from Lord of the Rings that aren't supposed to be in, that's the Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the Rings, fucking Game of Thrones aren't supposed to be in Game of Thrones. And for the most part, yeah, even though Game of Thrones is something where it's like, it, it's a good show. It's fine on being, it's like, it's a great show. But it doesn't change the fact that it's something that innately wasn't intended to be that way by the creator's original intent, but it's something that got changed that way by the people who were running the show. And that should never be the case. You want more diversity in fantasy stories or these dope ass concepts and hardcore things? Hey, I'm pretty sure someone out there wrote some shit that's like that. Yeah, but it's not Game of Thrones. Yeah, that's the problem. Quit looking towards these IPs that essentially you don't even trust to make content that you want to make anymore. And instead, either go make it yourself or go find someone who's talented enough to make that for you. Because your only job is to adhere to entertainment. I keep saying here. Your only job is to do that, is to showcase and bring forth entertainment. And you know for a fact, because the backlash of this fucking Little Mermaid movie has been so substantially large, much bigger than that of the Lightyear movie, and on the same scale of the scrutiny and the hate towards the fucking Star Wars movie, that I'm telling you right now, this is not going to make money. And it's going to be undoubtedly terrible. And so, like, I'm pretty sure they're going to showcase it on Disney Plus instead of putting it in theaters because, duh. But and then they're going to botch the numbers and lie about the subscription and shit like that because, duh. But it's something. It's something to where it's like this is a lesson that should have been learned a long time ago. You now have basically the CEO of Discovery Warner kind of cleaning house because of the fact that they were just in the midst of making a bunch of shit that just isn't making any money, and their only job is to entertain and make money. But it's like if you're failing at making money part, then the problem must be the entertainment that you're releasing. It's not making money. It's not doing well. It's not doing its job. So it's got to go. And the thing is that it's not like I give two shits about the company of Disney or anything like that, but it's like for the most part, you need to understand that this has a giant ripple effect over all content that comes out hereafter. If you cannot afford to do shit on your own, which most people, a lot of most people cannot, but they have to follow the scrutiny of dealing with other companies and corporations and whatnot, you would like for it to be where the contract stipulation that you just got to worry about is the fact that you no longer own the rights to the shit that you're making. And it's like, that should be it. It shouldn't be that they're going to go in and completely overhaul, fuck up, and change your characters because, why not? It should just be that, hey, we like what you're making. We want you to make something for us. Can you do it? Yes, I can. There you go. And then they release it. People like it. Some people don't. And you're okay. But it should never be where you are on the back end of essentially one of the most racist ideas and central archetypes that any company and business has had to date, which is that you take, well, racist and prejudice, that you take something as insignificant as race, sexual orientation, or sexuality of a character, and then not only swap said things, race, sexuality, or sexual orientation of a character, but then you promote that you swap those things. And then you showcase and you proudly state over and over and over again how much you positively trust and believe in these changes that you've made to an original property that did not need these changes in the first place in order for them to succeed, but how you desperately need to give these properties these changes in order for them to succeed in today's climate. And then you go against your word as soon as the possibility of a monetary loss comes into play, whether that be in this country or another countries or for any reason whatsoever. There should never be a reason for anybody to stick up for any fucking company that has been known to do shit like that over and over and over again, let alone a company that has consistently made content that has been terrible over and over and over again. And so I feel that it is incredibly disingenuous, disheartening, and just fucking sad for someone to essentially deal with this Little Mermaid controversy, not call it out for what it is, especially people who essentially were big in the advocacy of like black and doing things on your own and investing in black this and black that, and looking at something where it's just a clear cash grab of a concept, not even something that's worth mentioning, and then just falling down on their sword and going, it's okay, it's all right, it's a fake thing, you shouldn't get so upset, the original still exists, don't mind what they're doing, you should just consume content, don't ask questions, consume. And it's like, and until those people who actually have a platform, who have a voice, who have fans, who have people who mindlessly listen to them, speak up, finally get a fucking backbone, and understand that this shit is wrong, it's bad, it's terrible, and it does nothing for future generations. Until they speak up and talk against this shit, then it's going to be a long time for small people like myself actually depict and make a change, because as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening to me, even though what I say is the fucking truth. So, with that, perfect place to end it. This has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I'm glad you stayed with me this long. If you happen to, I appreciate it greatly. Make sure you, share this wherever you can. Let people, show this to anyone who basically is talking about this shit and you kind of just really didn't understand or think of how to how to rebuttal against anything that they had to say about the Little Mermaid, because it kind of was just snapping on the facts and hitting you with these hypotheticals and freaking contradictions and whatnot. But yeah, that'll be it. So this has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Daniel the Flame. And as always, good people, I hope you had fun. Hey, real quick, make sure you check any of the links down below if you want to see any of the stuff that I'm involved with. This includes more episodes of my podcast, as well as a comic book that I'm working on with my buddies over at These Guys. But as always, this has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Daniel the Flame, and as always, good people, I hope you had fun.